One of the most powerful skills of the human mind is the evolved ability to reframe everything in real time. The human brain and the way we think about the world, the way we think about ourselves with respect to the world, our place in the world, is extremely flexible. Because way back in our evolutionary past, it had to be extremely flexible. Because we were always just on the edge of survival. And we were always needing to continuously put yourself out there to conquer the world, to get your needs met. But because the world was so harsh and so scarce and changing all the time, it was necessary to continuously reframe your place in the world, to reframe who you are, to invent yourself continuously in real time when faced with the continuous unfolding of a harsh reality, a harsh and unpredictable reality. Those that could reframe themselves and reframe their place in their world the best survived compared to people that couldn't do this. This was just as necessary as the hunger instinct. Whoever had a stronger, impossible to ignore hunger instinct survived compared to someone who had a weaker, easy to ignore hunger instinct. Because food was scarce. You never knew when you were going to eat again. So if you had a hunger instinct that turned on and became impossible to ignore whenever you were in the presence of food, that was a massively useful survival instinct. Similarly, whoever could reframe the world around them, reframe their place in the world to maintain their position as the hero of their own story. Whoever could do this the best in the past survived compared to people who couldn't do this as well, who couldn't reframe events all of the time, continuously, so they would always believe that you are the hero of your own story, regardless of the content of that story, regardless of how the structure of the story unfolds in real time, regardless of the objective value or lack of value of what was going on around you from a content standpoint. Whoever could continuously reframe themselves as always being the hero of their own story, regardless of what was happening, they tended to survive compared to people who saw themselves as the victim of their story. This reframing instinct is incredibly powerful. Not only did we reframe ourselves, but we needed to reframe each other. Back in the days of hunter-gatherers, whoever could best reframe the ideas of everybody else, those people rose up the ranks of the hierarchy and had a much higher probability of having sex and being able to put their genes into the next generation. So this reframing instinct is almost the holy grail of human behavior, of being able to reframe everything in real time, of being able to reframe ideas in real time, of being able to reframe who you are no matter what happens around you in real time, so you will always believe that you are the hero of your story. You probably already know this. You probably already recognize this more than most people because of your nature, because of your intuitive nature, because of your introspective nature, because of your creative, intelligent nature. And you can watch other people. When you participate in conversations, you've no doubt had the experience of just kind of relaxing your brain, relaxing your need to continuously input yourself into the conversation and just watch the conversation unfold. And as you watch these conversations unfold, you notice that they are really reframing contests. This idea means this. No, this idea means this. No, this idea means this. No, that idea means this. It's a continuous idea battle powered by the never-ending reframing instinct. But because this reframing instinct exists on a deep subconscious level before we even perceive reality, most people will never understand this reframing instinct. Most people will never be able to notice this reframing instinct. Most people will never be able to notice the continuous reframing in real time that other people do. But you are different. You have a certain unique perspective. You can see things that other people can't. You can interpret things in a way that other people never will be able to. And you probably have already guessed that one of the ways this reframing instinct presents itself most powerfully is when people fall in love. Because back in the days of hunter-gatherers, when you fell in love with someone, it had to last at least 5 to 10 years for the little kid to grow up and have a fighting chance, which meant you had to reframe the crap out of yourself and your beliefs and your ideas, and so did your partner, so you could believe that you were destined for each other, so that you were each other's soulmate. Our reframing instinct that lives in the subconscious is so incredibly powerful that two people who have just a baseline level of compatibility can reframe themselves, they can reframe each other, so they will truly believe that they are soulmates and they are meant for each other. This gives you an incredible amount of power. Just understanding this gives you an incredible amount of power. You've no doubt known friends who had a certain personality, but then they get into a relationship with somebody and they morph their personality to better fit the person they're getting into a relationship with, but then they believe they've always been this way. This is the power of the reframing instinct. We not only reframe ourselves all the time and real time, but every successive iteration of the personality we morph into, we believe we've always been this way. This is the self-hypnotic power of the reframing instinct. This is the self-hypnotic power of the reframing instinct that you can leverage. The trick is very, very simple. Most people, when they present themselves to the world, they present themselves in an outside in. They take the ideas in their head and they cram them into the head of somebody else. But they have to force themselves through this continuous reframe instinct where we reframe everything so I am the hero of my story. This is the ego defense mechanism described in other terms. Whenever a salesperson tries to tell the customer what they should do, the customer takes all this information and funnels it through this reframing I'm the hero of my own story instinct and presents it back to them in a different way. This is the mechanics of the never-ending ego battle that you've no doubt seen in conversations that are happening all around you all the time. But once you understand how the reframing instinct works, once you understand the self-hypnotic nature of the reframing instinct, you can operate from inside other people's egos. You can relax your ego, something that you are uniquely qualified to do. And when you relax your ego, when you relax your ego and operate from within the inside of other people's ego, you can control their reframing instinct. You can take control and direct the self-hypnotic nature of their reframing instinct. So you can lead them to do whatever you want them to do and believe not only that it was their idea, but this is congruent with who they are. This is congruent with who they've always been, even if who they've always been is a continuous reframing self-hypnotic work in progress. You can do this in sales. You can do this in seduction. You can do this during regular conversations. People that have used this simple technique in sales have figured out how to make a ton of money in a very short amount of time, simply by turning off their ego and working from within the ego of the target. They can get them to fall in love with whatever product they are selling and believe that buying that product is congruent with who they are. There's no convincing necessary. There's no need to overcome obstacles or objections. There's no need to close over and over again, because when you work from within the reframing instinct of other people, they will come to the conclusion that you want them to come to, but it would be because of their own choices, which are congruent with who they believe they've always been. If you want to get somebody to fall in love with you, no other method is as simple and elegant as this one. If you want to have a fantastic conversation with a stranger, no other method is as elegant and powerful as this system. Now, like I said before, you probably already know this. You probably have already suspected this simply because of your intuitive nature. But now that you know the mechanics of how this works, now that you know the sequence of questions to ask, you can take what you've suspected has been true and apply it in real time to leverage from inside their ego and their reframing instinct, their self-hypnotic reframing instinct, and convince them subconsciously, covertly, elegantly to do whatever you want them to do.